You often hear about people who sold their houses for twice or even 5 or 10 times what it was worth. But people almost never take the time to calculate the hidden costs of owning their own house. If they did, they would not be as impressed. Well, I've done the math, and in this video, I'm going to explain why owning your house is a wage slave trap that will keep you stuck in the rat race for the rest of your life. But don't worry, my goal here is not to have you living in some cheap apartment for the rest of your life. By the time I'm done reprogramming you into a financially independent entrepreneur, you can buy all the houses that you want. But until that happens, right now, you should not be buying a house. You want to hear something weird? If I were to take a substantial loan to invest in something that puts money in my wallet every month, most of my friends and family would tell me, it's a bad idea. It's risky. It's too good to be true. You're gonna regret it. That's what they would say. But if I take a huge loan to purchase a home that will take money from my wallet every month for the rest of my life, nobody will say anything negative. Not your parents, not your friends, and certainly not your bank. If this is not a red flag that we live in a wage slave society, then I don't know what is. Owning your own home is a dream for most people, and I would know because I've wanted to own my own house since I was like 6 years old. And today, I own my own house. And I can tell you that reaching this point in my life did not only turn me and my wife into wage slaves, but it actually changed our sense of freedom in ways I would never have imagined. When it comes to personal finance, owning a house is often seen as a symbol of stability and financial security. It's also considered an accomplishment, a sign that you made it. You were successful enough to own your own house. You probably noticed already, on some instinctive level, you probably always knew it. But have you ever wondered why you think that way? Let me guess. Because it makes financial and logical sense, right? No. I'm not a mind reader, it's just that society has programmed me to believe the lie as well. And make no mistake about it, if there's one thing you need to take from this video, then it's this. Owning your own home is never ever an investment. I get it, I really do. Owning your own house is like an instinct. You've wanted it since you were a kid. It sounds like a dream to own your own home. And I do own my house, and I can speak from personal experience that it's not all bells and whistles owning your home. It's a dream sold by society and banks. They want you to strive for it because it's a way for them to make you basically a more obedient wage slave worker. And I certainly fell for it. I didn't stand a chance. Everybody was in on it, even my friends and family. Everybody said that a house was a financial investment. It's a lie that's transcended from generation to generation. Let's clarify something about the dream of owning a home. First of all, it comes down to instincts. We are genetically designed to want a shelter, to protect us from enemies and bad weather. But a home in this day and age is really just a place to hang your hat. The dream of owning your own place, it's not your dream, it's the bank's dream. They're the ones that make the most profit from you trying to own your house. But it actually goes even deeper than that. You see, society wants its citizens to strive for this goal because the dream makes us all obedient workers. Our focus in life becomes paying that mortgage every month, instead of actually thinking about how to build a sustainable business, invest our money, or create frugal lifestyle where we don't have to work as much. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if there's one thing to take away from this episode, then let it be this. A home is never an investment. If you have a house that you sublet, it can generate passive income. That's actually one of the best passive income generators. But when you live in it, it's not an investment. Let me emphasize this again. A house that you live in is never an investment. People hate hearing it, but here's the truth. I've heard people in my life repeat this lie over and over again. Owning your own house is an investment. It's not. An investment is something that puts money in your wallet, but a home takes money away from your wallet. Payment mortgages for your home puts money into the wallet of banks. While all of this sounds obvious, most people still think that owning their home is the best investment ever, because someday it will be worth a lot of money, right? For instance, if you live in a house, 40 years from now, it may be worth 10 times more. This is the illusion that most people don't see. There's a couple of hidden costs that people either don't know about or they just ignore. So let's go over them. One of the most significant financial commitments that comes with home ownership is the mortgage. While mortgages allow you to spread the cost of buying a house over several years, they also come with interest payments that can add up to substantial amounts. Over the course of your mortgage, you could end up paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in interests alone. And I remember the time when we were about to sign the papers and I was just learning about mortgage interest. My first thought was, do people actually fall for this? I recognized that it was a scam immediately. Because it was so normal, I signed the papers anyway. I figured, if other people do this, then it must be alright, right? But it's not alright. There are more expenses, and the money that you spend here represents a massive opportunity cost. But we'll get back to that later on. Property taxes are another hidden cost that homeowners must face. These taxes are calculated based on the assessed value of your property and are due annually or semi-annually. Property taxes can vary significantly depending on where you live, and they can add up to a substantial sum, especially in areas with high property values. Now, property tax can look very different from country to country. Here in Sweden, for example, it's hidden and is automatically added in the yearly income declaration. You just sign it and you never even notice it. You can find it if you actually look for it, but most people don't. It's in our nature to fool ourselves. Another aspect often overlooked is the ongoing maintenance and repairs required to keep your home in a good condition, from fixing a leaky roof to replacing old appliances. These expenses can quickly pile up. Maintenance costs are an inevitable part of home ownership, and failing to budget for them can lead to financial strain. People who rent don't have these issues. It's all included in the rent. And yes, people who pay rent sometimes get furious when the rent is increased due to some, renovation costs. And yes, sometimes scams do occur. But consider this. No matter how much your rent increases, you don't have to fuss with hiring contractors, negotiate, and handle any issues. While some would argue that they would rather have more control over it, you have to consider the time spent on this. From my perspective, it's better to focus that energy and time on creating digital assets. Homeowners are also responsible for insurance coverage and utility bills. Home insurance protects your property against unforeseen events such as fires and natural disasters, but it comes with a price tag. Additionally, utility bills can be higher in larger homes compared to renting an apartment, leading to increased monthly expenses. If you rent, you don't have to worry about any of this. And I say it again, that time and energy is better spent if you focus on creating something that generates your own passive income streams. So inflation is the decreasing purchasing power of money. Most people know what it is, but don't actually consider what it actually means because it's kind of difficult to see. It essentially means that everything becomes more expensive. But at the same time, wages usually go up. And this is the beauty of this wage slave trap. We never really notice it. The inflation rate is different in all countries, but we usually hear something like that inflation rate is around 3 to 10%. In Sweden, most companies will have a yearly income salary increase to combat these inflation effects. But this is just a trick, you see. Things still get more expensive, and we think that things have gone up in value, but they haven't. The value of money instead is weaker. The inflation rate also affects properties. So consider this. Let's say your house goes up 10 times in 10 years. That sounds like a lot, right? But it's really not, because you have to consider the inflation effect. Let's say that you instead invest in a fund that goes up 5 to 10% every year on average, and with compound effect, it will increase even more. And this is a fortune that you will never see because your money is locked in on mortgage payments and interests. Basically, your house is an opportunity cost. So lastly, home ownership ties up a substantial portion of your wealth in a single asset. The money you invest in your house could be used elsewhere, potentially generating higher returns. And from my perspective, this is always the case. This concept is known as opportunity costs and is essential to consider the lost financial opportunities that comes with tying up your funds in real estate. And it even goes deeper than that. Let's say your house will someday be worth 10 times more, maybe in 20 or 40 years. You would basically have to wait 20 or 40 years for that payout someday. But if you invest in stocks or crypto instead, you can see returns every year. And with the compound interest, you would have become richer. But instead, your house keeps you stuck in a wage slave trap. While owning a house has its merits, it's crucial to recognize the financial realities associated with home ownership, from mortgage payments and property taxes to ongoing maintenance and lost opportunities. The costs can add up over time, making it feel like a financial trap. By understanding and accounting for these hidden costs, you can make a more informed decision about whether owning a house is truly the right path for you. Now, I love living in my house. My home is my castle, and I wish everyone would experience what I experienced at some point in their lives. But if your dream is to have that house, then I think that you should go for it. But in this video, I wanted to explain the difference between a dream and an investment. So here's my suggestion. If you really want a house, instead of paying mortgages for it, invest in something that pays those mortgages instead. It could even be a house or an apartment that you sublet. So imagine this, you want a house where the living costs would be around $600 per month. Instead of taking a loan for that, take a loan for an apartment that you sublet for $1,000. $600 of that goes to the mortgage and costs for your own home, and $400 goes for the mortgages and costs for the subletting apartment. And that's it. I hope this alternative perspective on home ownership has given you food for thoughts. And as always, remember to weigh the pros and the cons carefully and make financial sound decisions that align with your long-term goals. Anyway, that's all I had for today. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video and leave your comments below. Until next time, take care and stay financially savvy. Bye.